Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, welcome everybody. On today's show, we're going to talk about COVID, the impact of COVID and our loved ones being at home together. You know what? It has been stressful. And then also working with our friends and coworkers, doing it virtually. Sometimes everything has changed. So when there's change, there's irritation. So talking about that, we've got Sarah-Elliston joining us back on the show again. Sarah is known for her book, Lessons from a Difficult Person, How to Deal with People Like Us. She is a faculty member of the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. She is a workshop leader and trainer who's certified in values realization and parent effectiveness training. I can't talk. But it's important about this because it's not just, it's like parents and kids are together 24/7. Coworkers just think that they could text you all through the night. So it's almost like now that COVID has happened, even if you're not out in person, and maybe you are a little bit here and there, it's like, hey, I can email you at this time and expect a response at like 2 a.m, or I'm going to message you, I'm going to do this and that. So everybody's getting a little edgy, and we're all difficult people in some way, I believe. But anyway, keep up with Sarah. Go to Sarah-Elliston.com. That's Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, Elliston.com. She's also got a page up on BlendRadioandTV.com. You can read her article about this right there at BlendRadioandTV.com. It'll be in the upcoming issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. But her article is about getting through COVID with a difficult person. So, Sarah, aren't you glad I'm not living in your house? But welcome back. How are you?
Don't say anything. Thanks. It's nice to be back. I am blessed that I live alone. I have 2 cats that are my difficult people, and right now I have an oxygen tube. I had pneumonia a couple of months ago, and it's taking a while to get my lungs back in set. But I feel all right. It's just anyway. Then we don't have to worry about that. But my cats have decided that the most fun thing to play with is the tube that the oxygen is provided through. Because it moves from room to room with me, of course, and it goes up and down stairs, and then they'll be in one room and they'll see it wiggling across the floor because I'm yanking on it, and so I have difficult people in my life. They're just in the form of cats. Cool.
Oh wow!
I've had to I've had to start carrying around this little squirt water bottle, sort of tucked under my arm, because I have to squirt them and say "N-O" loudly and firmly, which I used to do when they were kittens, and they used to respond.
And now they're going,
look.
So look, you got the cat look.
Look. Yeah.
Okay, so in speaking of all this, number one, we hope you heal fast, and I know you are getting better, and you got to get better fast, because we're going to come see you in spring, early spring. So you say in your article there are 3 suggestions for developing some patience, which I think we all need a good dose of. I mean, what if you're like a Republican Democrat family right now? You're still pissy. So, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I didn't want to bring politics in, but I just did. Oopsie.
Dude. Well, I didn't say anything about just dropping all the negative comments that you could make with each other. But I think my approach is, the first thing is like, take a deep breath, just like stop, count to 10, ask yourself, what am I doing? Just because it's so tempting to make those sort of snarky comments, especially if it's political. It just gets really easy. It doesn't matter which side you're on. It just if somebody says something, you say, oh yeah, well, da 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 da. Anyway, so take a deep breath, stop, breathe, and think. And this isn't in the article, but it's ask yourself, what am I doing? I suggest that you also ask yourself, whose business am I in? Because the reason that we want to snark at the other person or tease them or be critical of them or say, there's your socks again on the floor. How many times do I have to, those kinds of things. Because we think the other person's wrong and they should change. And actually, unless you're going to a sock, what?
You're going to say that, are you going to go towards that we can't tell people to change for us and that they can be them and we have to change ourselves? Are you going there?
Well, in a kind of a roundabout way. Look at it this way. There's 3 kinds of business. There's your business, which is everything about you. There's my business, which is about me. And everything else is God's business or the universe's business or somebody else's business. But it's not mine. And when I think that you're wrong and you should change, and it doesn't have a direct impact on me in the sense of I'm not going to slip and fall on your socks if you leave them on the floor, then if I'm starting to criticize you about it, I'm kind of in your business. And my hunch is, after being at home with COVID this long, you might have, or we might have said it already, and it didn't work. It's like I told you I was carrying around a water bottle to squirt at my cats. I also am coiling up the long tube that the oxygen comes in and carrying it around my wrist from room to room. So it's not so tempting because the water bottle wasn't working. I mean, they stop it when I squirt them. They stop doing it, but they're still tempted because cats are cats and they think anything that moves is something to look at.
That's animal instinct. That's ingrained in their being.
Right, absolutely.
And
so I'm changing the way I act with them. So I'm acting the way I'm staying in my own business. I can't change the cat's business.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a sense, I'm suggesting that if you stay in your own business, lots of things get much easier. It's really fascinating because you don't have to get mad that they didn't do the dishes if it was their turn and they didn't get them done yet, unless you're the one that has to do the cooking. Then you have a legitimate gripe. But again, I'm not necessarily suggesting the ways that you could talk to them about it, but the third step in my article, which I think, and it turns out to be really important, at least with the people I know, is that I need to listen. I can't listen to my cats except I know they're bored because every time they want to go outside, it's snowing.
Shame.
Yeah. Well, they'll live. One of them went out last night anyway. He was so bored. But,
Yellow snow. Sorry.
But listening to the other person for whatever they're talking about, it's fascinating how if you give someone attention, how connected they feel. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to argue with them. Just listen. Give them eye contact. Maybe ask an interested question as long as it's not confronting. It's not, how could you be so stupid to think this? That's not the right question. The right question would be one of those open-ended one was just sort of like, so what is it about this that interests you or something? I have found I have professional people coming in and checking to make sure I haven't fallen down and that my temperature is the right temperature and my blood pressure is the right, that kind of thing. And so I have a couple of people like that come in during the week. And I find that every single one of them stays in the chair until I stop talking. I notice that they'll ask me a question about something in my house, and I will answer it, and they're not dashing to leave. So I try not to talk their ear off, but I notice how powerful it is to have the other person listen.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think it's hard because when you are like in a family zone and even in a work zone, and I know Nancy and I can speak of this because we're in both and in a travel zone together. I mean, it's like, If anyone's going to get on each other's nerves, we got it, but we also pull out of it fast because we don't have time to do it. It's like, what's your end goal, right? And I think when you're in this new zone of now, like we thought, think back when you did your first article on COVID. It was like March. It was like last year, and then you did one about our online communication. So this is like part 3 of this situation we're all in.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, is it going to last the summer? Oh God, even Christmas? Well, hello. We all thought we were just going to be locked up for a month and go out and play later, and that wasn't the truth. And within that month, all hell broke loose, and also joyous things happened. People got to spend time with their family that they really didn't get to have. We've interviewed a lot of people where they, like musicians that are always off touring, that now they're family with their family for a year.
Yeah.
They can sleep in their own bed. So there's some beautiful things. But then it's like, well, maybe, the wife or the husband have been doing this way in the house and whatever, and then so-and-so's home, and now it's like, excuse me, this is how it works, and now we have to make room for you, or you're just annoying each other at this point. And so now to listen, it's hard because you already know how to push each other's buttons. That's the thing I want to get to, because I think we all want to listen to each other, but we all think we know what the other one's going to say. I'm just saying.
Or we know what we think, what they should be saying.
No.
Yes.
That we know it's better for the other person, because if they did it our way, we would be happy. But that's suggesting that what they're doing is wrong. And unless it's unsafe for you, it's not wrong. It's just them.
Yeah.
If you don't try to solve the problem, and you just listen, to whatever it is, and try to be active in the conversation, you can stay in your own business of just like, isn't this interesting? You can just sort of keep that as your mantra while they're talking, because that's all it is interesting. And you do care about the other person. You're just annoyed at them because they do the same thing over and over again. I had a man in my life who kept clearing his throat, and I wanted to say, get your sinuses checked,
This is why I don't even. I don't want the morning hack. I don't want it. No. Come on, I know a lot of women know what I'm talking about.
Stop
I'll behave. Sorry. Stop. Didn't go for a reason. Uh-oh.
So am
I. Sorry.
But the point,
see, but that goes with, here's your business. If you know your business doesn't want that, you don't go for that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's also part of it.
I used to say that I had a boyfriend for a while, and he was a really nice guy, but I used to say to him, I live alone on purpose, because he'd say, well, can I come spend the weekend or something? No, I need my space. But but I wasn't mad at him, because it was kind of nice to have somebody who want to spend time with me. What? Somebody who wanted to ask a question or say something?
Nancy raised her hand.
Nancy raised her hand.
I was just going to say there's two sides of a person. There's your reactionary side and your thinking side. And I always think the reactionary side is kind of like the animal side. And the thinking side is the human side. Because, if you mess with an animal, it reacts. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to think, and it's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to be your fault because you mess with it, right? Now, when you're talking on the human side, that's the thinking side. So I think that humans walk around half in their minds, half on the animal side and half on the human side. So when you're on the freeway, for example, and somebody cuts you off, some people defensively use their human brain, and others reactionary brain kicks in and they honk and they want to pay back.
Right.
So that's where I think we are in our development.
Well, it's interesting. I've had enough dogs, and I've known enough animals to know that I believe they do some thinking, but I don't know what it's like. But I understand what you mean about the animal side versus the thinking side. So I think what I'm advocating for is stay in your thinking side. Tempted to do your animal, bite your tongue. Take a deep breath if you can remember, but bite your tongue first and then take a deep breath. And actually, I suggest 2 or 3 deep breaths because that gets all this oxygen going in your bloodstream and immediately you calm down. I mean, what happens when you have a near accident and you pull off to the side of the road?
Yeah.
And you realize, oh my God, I'm still alive. You go, you have to get your energy back. You have to get your aliveness back. And anyway, so tempted to make that negative comment or that sarcastic jibe, I would suggest that you ask yourself, what am I doing here? Whose business am I in? It's not easy. It's a simple concept, but it isn't very easy. I find myself in Zoom meetings, for example, I find myself not writing a comment that I want to write, which is na 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 or something.
I get that.
But I write myself.
I keep my
notes.
hands under the table.
Oh.
I have
That's
a very
good
good
idea.
middle finger. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Come on. No, but I know.
Well,
but yeah.
The other thing is, of course, that I didn't put in here because it was a shorter article. But getting some physical activity in your life will help a lot when people are getting on your nerves. And I'm sure that other articles written about COVID have said that. But if you're like me and you're walking is a little bit inhibited, and outside is all snow and ice. So, so a lot of stand up and sit down. I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I said winter's really difficult.
Winter is rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I love winter.
Don't you?
But not being able, if you can't go outside, I think for like kids.
This year is particularly different, but I mean, I'm a snower, skier, hiker.
But if you can't do that, and you're inside, like it is hard to be indoors. If you just think about not just America, I was going to say America, but the world has been locked inside so much, and then there's the whole bunch that is outside and doing the outdoor thing, trying to seek places where they can socially distance and at least take a walk. And then everybody's arguing with each other about masks and all that stuff. Like, honestly, just, what you're saying, like, it's your business. It's so true. When we feel like you can go in a grocery store and someone's hacking and coughing without a mask or a place, and they do. They'll go in Walmart or whatever and they'll pull their mask down to cough. And I'm like, great. So thank you. So my back goes to them and I walk the other way. It's the same thing on a hiking trail. If I think someone doesn't, just gonna, you can navigate this whole thing with some common sense. I'm just saying, and we can't.
Present.
And being present, and also the reaching out is so important. What if it can only be done online and through telephones and whatever? At least we have those mediums to use them, and we should use them. That's my thing. Is we should take those steps. But winter's hard. Get out, jog around. Spring is coming. There's daffodil blooms, but they're not the blooms. The little stalks are popping up, but then snow's going to hit them just now. But it's happening. But it is hard. But you can do exercise inside. If you have a dog, run around. Move your delicate things and run around inside if you have to with the dog or whatever. I don't know, your kids or whatever you can do. Like you were saying, you sit up and down. Do what you can to be energetic. There are so many studies, like you were saying, Sarah, about exercise. When someone's angry and pissy and they storm out of the house to take a walk, let them take a walk because they're walking off their anger. They're walking it off because you can't stay angry that long in a walk. It's not going to keep going with you for 10 miles. You'll think, you're going to think. You'll go into the thinking zone after the emotion sweats itself out, basically.
I found that to be true. I used to be a runner a million years ago, and I would do I had like a 2-mile run that I did every morning. And the few times that I tried to do it when I was angry were complete busts. I ended up walking. I couldn't run while I was angry. It was
That's
quite
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I was just churning on negativity, and I guess it doesn't power me. So anyway, I was just agreeing with you, but I'm not a runner anymore. But I still like to walk, and I like to do yoga, and I love to walk in the pool. It's really good for my arthritic knee. But they haven't, cleared me for walking in the pool yet. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, hopefully when we see you in the spring or late spring, May is what we're hoping.
May.
Then we can go for a little walk in a park somewhere with flowers, and because I think that's what we're all. I think even when the magazine comes out, this article and interview will be in there too. We'll still be going through the whole COVID thing, but taking a walk in a park, you can socially distance and communicate and enjoy that. Smell the flowers, even if it's cold out. Embracing the cold on a walk, it's invigorating, man. It feels pretty darn good. I had to learn it. I mean, just like basic learning it is like just get out there and shovel the snow. Get in there and do it. And it's cool. It's meditative. But it's pretty. It's magical. It is. And, as we go through whatever, I mean, who knows? You know how April is? Winter can still be there, even if it's spring in April, depending on where you are. So who knows what's going to happen? But there's a patience level. And I think that taking a deep breath is really also very healing for our cells and our body. You can rejuvenate your entire body by breathing. And do you feel that going through? I'm curious about that because we've interviewed so many singers and medical people talking about that. Just taking a breath. If you just take a deep breath every, 30 minutes or so, you can really start to heal your body. Do you feel that with what you're doing with an oxygen tank and having to go through pneumonia?
I'm being taught to breathe differently. I for some reason when I go up the stairs and stuff, I always do it as if it was like natural childbirth. I blow out. And I think I've taken that kind of, I find myself doing that, when I'm walking around without my oxygen, usually just taking a shower and, getting dressed in the morning. I find myself blowing out. And my trainer has pointed out to me that I need to be, breathing in deeply at that time. And I said, why did we do it in natural childbirth then? It works so well. And she said, that's to avoid the pain.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with good breathing. And I just thought, oh, okay. Now, I need to blow out when I, make an effort. Like if I'm lifting weights or something, it's okay to take a deep breath and then blow out. But I've been breathing with short breaths, evidently, and that's what she's caught. So yes, when I take a deep breath, I feel energized, warm. So
I think, from nature's standpoint, you're supposed to breathe in from your nostrils because you have hair in your nostrils that's supposed to clean stuff.
Right.
So
and then
instead of breathing in with your mouth, and a lot of people breathe in and out with their mouths. And
it's easier. Yeah. And if you have a stuffy nose, it's definitely easier. But yes, you're right. So she had already taught me this before I went into the hospital. She had already been working with me on this breathing in through your mouth, your nose, and out through your mouth. And I always, in yoga, you breathe in and out through your nose. Totally. I mean, you don't use your mouth necessarily, at least the yoga that I was taught. And so now she's got me doing an exercise where I breathe in for the count of 4, I hold it for the count of 7, and then I breathe out, with my mouth, kind of blowing it out for the count of 8. And then I start right over again. And I can do 2 of those back to back. But by the end of the second 8, my body is like scared. It's not going to be able to get enough breath. So I have to take a deep breath, which is fine. I'm allowed. But practicing the shorter, the 4-count breath and then the 7 and the 8 is helping me focus on my breath. It's interesting.
I love that. I thought that the breath, which is an involuntary thing anyway, that you would have to would have to concentrate on that. When you think about it.
She talked about different kinds of breathing, and I said, well, I did a lot of drama in high school, and I've been singing in choirs all my life. I know how to do diaphragmical breathing.
Yeah.
I know how to breathe that way. She said, but you aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
no, Sarah, it's really important. It's really true. And as a singer, I didn't have asthma. As soon as I stopped singing, I got asthma, and there were environmental circumstances too where we're living. But I think if I was still singing, I would have been okay. I also had to learn how to use my diaphragm. And you're right about breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. As soon as you breathe in through your nose, your diaphragm goes on alert. It's like, wake up. And so you're using these muscles that do involve your whole torso, your stomach and everything. You become fitter in your whole midsection, which we want because damn, my midsection needs some strength, man. It needs to be better. We all need that right now with everything that's going on and all the food we're eating, all cooped up. So breathing, is a good. Seriously, you need it.
No, but
and
can you imagine a fox is running through the wilderness and it sees a mouse and it's going to go kill it because it needs to have dinner, and it's like, am I breathing through my nostrils or my mouth?
Yeah, no, because they already are breathing because they're on pure survival mode. So with that, think about it, and we are, and I wonder about the drama between everybody. I also say difficult people are also people that number one, there's a really interesting TV show called Difficult People. Anyway, don't blame me if you don't like it. But it's funny.
Is it on the regular channels? I've never heard of it.
It's on Hulu.
I don't watch it.
It's on Hulu now. It's on Hulu now. I don't know where it was on originally, but don't blame me for all the
words,
the naughty stuff. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
But we had to watch it. We saw difficult people come up, and we're like, oh, we have to watch this
because of you,
Sarah. But they are difficult people. Holy cow! I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it is sometimes. For some, we grant that for some people it would take a saint to stay out of their business, But still, it's worth trying.
I think it's about being unique and different, and it is about. They always put the artist as the difficult person or the writer as this recluse, crazy person, And we interview a lot of them, and it can happen that way. And it can go that way, and I find that interesting. Like you use the word interesting. I love it's a good word because you never know what it really means.
Yeah, but when somebody says that's interesting, you go, oh, that's either or.
What are you thinking? We don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But when difficult is that you have expectations placed in a certain place, right? In your mind, and maybe it's like you're in a bubble creating something. That's kind of how I look at it. And I think each one of us is difficult.
So here's an example that I experienced just from my life, because it's right on the top of my head, of my thinking. When I went to get a COVID test, my doctor over the phone suggested it. The doctor in the center where I was getting the test came over to me and said, your oxygen's really low. Do you have oxygen at home? And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't know I was sick. I was so dumb. Anyway, doesn't matter. But then he started hammering me about where had I been, what had I been doing like 2 weeks ago. And I realized later that he was trying to, track where I'd been, because it certainly looked like I had COVID. Luckily, it wasn't. But I remember thinking to him, I wanted to say, who the H do you think you are? Talking to me this way. He was like right in my face. And I said, I haven't been anywhere. He said, well, where were you 2 weeks ago? I said, I've been sitting in my house since March. I go to the gym. Honestly,
that's not the
only
answer
place I go. Well, that's what I gave him. But he was right in my face. You know, he was very aggressive and dominant,
interesting,
and demanding. And I thought, what?
Yeah.
I was quite annoyed. And then he said, well, we're getting the life squad for you. You need to go to the emergency room right away. And I said, I said, how am I going to charge my phone? That was that awful.
That's funny.
That was I felt, again, when I looked back on it, I thought, this is embarrassing. It's 2021, and all I care about is my cell phone. But I wanted to be able to contact my neighbor to feed my cats and my son to let him know what I was doing. And, you know,
exactly.
And call somebody else and say, would you mind going and get my car? It's in the parking lot, you know. But he was, so my reaction to him was not to take a deep breath. I found him very difficult. And then I realized he was trying to find out all this information so that, you know, he could track me. What's the word? Trace.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, did you feel like he was trying to help you or not?
Oh, yes, he was. He just was very adamant. And I was saying, honestly, I haven't been anywhere. I go to the gym like twice a week, and all I do is walk in the swimming pool. I mean, I hardly see anybody, and we're all masked, and I don't socialize. I have a cleaning lady, but she wears a mask. I mean, you know, I really haven't been anywhere since March. Hardly.
But he's trying to help you. But he's just trying to like figure out where, what, and how. You know.
Right. But he didn't
diagnosis.
Say, look, I think you have COVID, and we need to find out where you've been and what you were doing. He kept saying, what parties did you go to? I said, look at me. Do I look like I go to a lot of parties? I mean, I'm not exactly a party animal. Anyway, it was. You were talking about how we react to people, and that's why I was saying that it caught me off guard. My doctor's very gentle and nice, and he doesn't get firm with me probably enough. But this guy was really, and I see why. He was working in a COVID, clinic thing for testing. So they shipped me off to the hospital in their piece of equipment, that ambulance, and it took them a couple of hours. And they decided they'd put me in the COVID ward, even though I kept testing negative for COVID.
Oh my gosh!
They didn't. Well, they didn't want to put me in the real place in case the tests were, incorrect.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, you're here.
I'm fine.
And I'm
fine.
glad.
I'm learning how to breathe.
No, that's important. That's what I was going to say. This whole thing about breathing, I know it's the first part of your article, and it's short and sweet, but it's a real lifesaver. And if you're breathing, it allows your energy to clear to listen. And listening is hard as always. It's a hard thing. Listening is hard. It's especially if you're in a situation or you already think you know, and that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's like we all know each other.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're thinking. As Magnum, what's it? Magnum, Nancy? I know what you're thinking.
Yes.
It's Magnum.
It's really annoying when he.
I
says
know what you're
too.
thinking. He always
I know
says
what
it.
you're thinking. That's funny.
No,
every time he says it.
Oh, nice. Nancy's not a difficult person at all. There you go. On that
That's the
note,
problem with me.
I know. Listen.
No, I just think it's the most annoying thing. I know what you're thinking. No, you don't.
I know. Well, thank you, Sarah. It is always a pleasure
You're
to chat
welcome.
with you. And good insight.
fun.
Great article, by the way. Everyone, because, listen, the COVID thing is going to stretch out through, for a while, because everyone's in a different predicament depending on where you live in the world. And, our audience is everywhere. So, really, Sarah's got some really good just straightforward tips here. So everyone, you could go to blendradioandtv.com, type in Sarah Elliston. Just type in COVID with Sarah's name. That sounds terrible, and you'll find it. No, just type in Sarah Elliston. You'll find all our articles, including that one, and the other ones we were talking about too. But go get her book as well, Lessons from a Difficult Person, How to Deal with People Like Us, and you can get that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those great places, or ask your local bookstore. And also keep up with Sarah at Sarah-Elliston.com. We always love to close with music, and today's song is called Settle Down. I couldn't help it. But it's from one of our favorite bands, the Cravens, out in South Florida, and they really they went through the pandemic thing really bad in Florida, South Florida, and we even had to cancel a trip to go and see them. We were going to do a film documentary on their new music, and we had to do a big detour, and and it's just the way the world is. So anyway, it's off of their last album, their most recent album called Dakota Rose, and you can keep up with them at cravensongs.com. So here it is, Settle Down, man. Here it is from the Cravens. And don't forget, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, listeners. Everyone,
You're
take
welcome.
care and
Keep
take
well,
a deep
Sarah.
breath. Yeah,
Thanks,
take care, Sarah.
Got this fire burning in my head. A darker ghost roams through my veins.